Thank you for joining me for another Quick Hits conversation. I'm Dr. Robyn. With me today, I have Estelle Poiré, Glady Baradaran, and Craig Leonard. The question I'd like to ask, why do so many humans feel guilty about making themselves a priority? Glady, can you kick us off?
Guilty as charged. So I'm going to look at this question and dig in inside myself instead of talking about all the humans, about me and my friends that I have around me. For me, it would be three reasons. First is many social, religious rules that makes you feel like you're obliged, that you have a sense of duty and honor to look at others and forget about yourself. Mm-hmm. The second thing would be, for many people, and for me when I'm working on it, self-care and taking care of self and selfishness become equal, very close to each other. And the third would be because I feel like I never learned about what self-care is. I never found a way to balance it. I was mostly on the side of you have to give, take care of, do that for society, and society would do it for you and your community, that I completely was never taught how to do self-care. So why the guilt comes in for me would be because of these three reasons.
I'd like to say hello to all the beautiful people on this planet, just like me, who actually grew up in a dysfunctional, toxic family household. You are my people. And I would say that for the longest time in my life, and maybe whoever is going to watch this will recognize themselves. I guess I grew up in a family where I was not brought up to value myself. So I learned way too late in life to actually, I have value, so I can give myself love and respect. However, for the longest time, I never thought I had value because I didn't love myself, right? I wanted to please other people. I wanted to take care of other people. I wanted to save other people. The thing is, I had to save myself first. So that's why I felt all this shame, all this guilt. And I learned late in life to do this for myself first, so that loving myself and respecting myself first, so that I can, give it to other people as well.
Yeah, I would say that my first thought when I saw the question was that sometimes religion teaches that about loving your neighbor, which is all great, but sometimes, the self-care is not a priority. And also, I think just secularly, the word selfish is one of the most negative words we have. Almost like you say, oh, he's selfish or she's selfish. You don't want to be associated with being selfish. So, I mean, caring for others is good, but sometimes selfish you got to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah. And I think that when you do set up boundaries that care for yourself, that word selfish will come out in a hurry. I know I've been called that in my past. And interestingly, by people who I thought loved me, but upon reflection, I realized, nope, that's not love. That's not what that means. And so I think there's a big guilt factor that comes from people who want you to do what they want you to do. And they're really good at turning that guilt key. How's the saying go? They'll pack your bags and send you on a guilt trip.
I agree with you. Jokings aside, the boundary part, it becomes extremely important. But for me, my boundaries, they were so hazy. I didn't even know where it starts, where it ends. And for me to get over this guilt is to find where the boundary is first and then balancing it. So balance becomes a very good tool to see in the maximum of the worst case scenario is selfishness and not caring about anybody. Let's say the plane is going down. You put your own oxygen first, you open the door, you put your jacket on and you jump off because you want to save yourself compared to the other person who doesn't want to put their own oxygen and want to put oxygen on everybody else. You have to find a balance in the middle to see where I'm going to self-care to be able to better give back again. Again, you see what I mean? I go back to myself. I take care of myself to be able to give back again. So that balance is very important.
Absolutely. I love everything you guys are saying. It reminds me of a book that I read years ago, and I still read it at least once a year. And it's called The Reinvention Roadmap by Liz Ryan. And it was a book on how to look for a job. And she said something in the book that is so powerful. She said, people who get you deserve you. People who live on the same frequency as you deserve you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Recently on a quick hit, someone said it's impossible to say the wrong thing to the right person and impossible to say the right thing to the wrong person. I think that's kind of what we're talking about, is that people who love you and care about you are going to respect your boundaries, and it's not going to be a war. And the people who push them, then that's a question of, is that a relationship you want to stay in? And I know many of us, and I'm among them, have family, friends, people that we must be in relationship with, or we choose to be in relationship with for some reason, who don't take that seriously. And then you have to make that decision. And I think this is the hard part. Where is the line between I'm taking for myself and I'm being selfish? There has to be a space in there where, and I don't know how fine that line is, where I can take care of myself and it's not selfish, but then you cross it. And where is that? And how do you determine?
I wish I had the answer.
I believe it's a lifetime work of learning to love ourselves. And how much do I love myself? And what is it that I'm going to tolerate or not tolerate? And it's to really also to connect with our intuition and who we are, our authentic self. I had to experience that recently, where I was invited to something that looked really great, but actually it just didn't feel right for me. And I said yes in the first place, but afterwards I thought, no, that's just not right for me. And it was difficult, but I thought, if I don't love and respect myself, I'll keep on saying yes. However, if I really love myself and respect myself first, I'll say no, because I know very well it doesn't feel right for me.
That's
a
really
lifetime
good
learning, you were saying. I believe it's a learning process, and it's a lifetime. I have hopes, but I don't think that this guilt just gonna magically go away. I have to, and others that have to work on it almost every day to find the best way to go through life.
I like what I think it was Estelle talked about, the metaphor, or in some cases the real life example of putting your own oxygen mask on first, and how that's not something that is natural perhaps, but it's something that, you know, they always tell us that we have to do when we go on a plane.
Yeah. I had an experience recently where I had accepted a speaking engagement. It wasn't a paid one, but I had accepted a speaking engagement. And after I accepted it, then there were all of these things that came, well, you have to do this, and you have to, there was like pages of, and I was like, you know what, this is probably not a good fit. And the old me would have done it anyway, would have just been like, well, I said I would before they gave me all the details, and now I feel obligated. And the new me, hopefully the new me, looked at it and said, look, they have 6 weeks. They can certainly just ask me. They can certainly find another speaker. It's not a good fit. And if I'm not a good fit for them, they're not a good fit for me. It's not fair to either of us for me to move forward with it. And I had to step out of, it's selfish for me to back out and say it's the right thing to do. And it was hard. It was hard for me to send that email and say, you know what, this isn't a good fit, because I had to admit I made a mistake.
Absolutely. And you listen to yourself, and it's kind of painful. It feels weird to do that, because, oh, maybe I'll make someone unhappy. But the thing is, we're not responsible for their reaction. We're responsible for our own. And imagine how difficult it is to deal with our own reaction.
Yeah.
I think owning up to a mistake is often easier than when you like make a commitment to someone and then have to and can't do it, because that's like a promise you made to someone, and that's a higher level of guilt than just making mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah. And maybe that's true. It's just, it felt really, in the moment, I felt guilty. And then after we got through it, there was some back and forth, and she was, of course, very disappointed. Then I felt proud of myself. Like, I made it through the guilt and I did the right thing anyway. And I think that that's something that we have to be aware of when we feel that guilt, is kind of take ownership of that and say, that's on me. Someone, like I said before, someone can pack your bags, but you don't have to take the guilt trip. And I think that that's where we kind of have to figure out that line of selfishness and guilt. And if you're asking yourself, is this being selfish? Chances are you probably aren't.
Definitely finding that balance again.
Exactly. Well, that is our 10 minutes. So I'm going to cut us off there. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. And I look forward to speaking to each of you again very soon.